Guys, good Tuesday afternoon. I'm Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille Show. Thank you kindly for joining us. We're very grateful for your viewership and listenership here on the I Love CVille Network. We have a Charlottesville, a Central Virginia, a Commonwealth country, and worldwide audience at our disposal here on the I Love CVille Show as we utilize every social media channel known to mankind to broadcast this show. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, you name it, we're on it. It's a dynamic show, so you, the viewer and listener, can dictate the pace and tempo of the show by offering your perspective in the comment section, and I will relay those thoughts live on air. We'll welcome two of our favorite listeners to the program, Scott Aaronworth and Kevin Yancey, to the broadcast. Scott is watching in Virginia Beach. He's an attorney. He's also Charlottesville's biggest foodie. Yes, the biggest foodie in Charlottesville is an attorney in Virginia Beach, and his name is Scott Aaronworth. Kevin Yancey is the king of Waynesboro, a well-read, well-experienced man. Kevin and Scott, thank you for watching the show. A lot we're going to cover today. We're going to talk consumer confidence at a 16-month low. It's tough sledding out there, and it's for all the obvious reasons. A 16-month low as persistent inflation and rising interest rates have Americans very pessimistic about the future. Americans are also facing headwinds from, let's face it, Russia, Ukraine, from gasoline, from pretty much every commodity out there, supply chain shortages, chip shortages, labor shortages, boats stuck on the ocean, locusts in the sky, and folks, just about every possible scenario in front of us. Still, I will find some positive in this collision of negativity. And some of that positivity may in fact be associated with inflation. You're starting to see some commodities plateau in price. Who's been driving by gas stations lately and noticed gasoline prices dropping a bit? I've noticed that. Have you? Coming into Charlottesville City from eastern Albemarle County, where I live in the Keswick area, the price for a gallon of gas is about $4.60. This time last week, it was over $5. Other positives we should highlight. Folks, China is starting to relax its COVID quarantining restrictions. That's incredibly good news. The Chinese and the country China have a tremendous influence on the global economy and a tremendous impact on the United States. You don't believe me? Check out Nike's stock price today. After positive earnings, it's getting crushed as quarantine in China is still impacting that company tremendously. So if you're looking for some positives, and we will weave Judah Wickower into the mix in about 15 seconds. I want to talk consumer confidence with Judah Wickower. It slipped to its lowest level in 16 months. I want to talk about the overall mood and sentiment of the country, of the state, and of the Charlottesville jurisdiction. And then I want to see if we can find some slivers of positivity. And I've given you two. The COVID lockdown and restrictions in China opening it up and easing up is good news. And gasoline prices and some other commodities seem to be plateauing in prices. We'll talk about that on the program today. We will also let you know about a new business that's for sale. It's a bridal salon. The asking price is $125,000. Fantastic deal with only one other competitor in Charlottesville in the bridal salon space. You think about Charlottesville, and it has the second most weddings on the eastern seaboard in one area happen in Charlottesville. Look, Hilton Head is number one. Hilton Head is a clear-cut, Charleston is a clear-cut number one. Charlottesville's in the 2 slot. So when a bridal salon business goes on the market for $125,000 and you start thinking about the competition they have in the space and how there's very little, you start seeing potential with this opportunity, and we will explain why. We will also highlight the Atlantic Coast Conference Eliminating Divisions. In 2023, there will be no Atlantic and Coastal divisions. And I'll ask Judah Wickower what he learned today, and I will pass on to you what I learned today. It's the Tuesday edition of the I Love CVille Show. It's brought to you by Skooma Boutique Dispensary, the best dispensary in Charlottesville. Skooma Boutique dispensary with locations on the downtown mall and on the UVA corner. Judah, two-shot, my friend. First, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon.
It's good to see you. We were off yesterday as we had an important meeting with a new client. Mm-hmm. We are an advertising agency, and new client meetings are important to running successful businesses. A wise man, Bill Nitchman, friend of the program, the owner of the Professional Center, and one of the largest real estate owners in the city of Charlottesville, mentor of mine, told me the key to running a good business is not only landing new accounts and incremental revenue, but maintaining current accounts, keeping them happy, and getting renewals from them. So you get renewals from the existing ones because they're happy with your hard work, and then you bring new ones into the mix, and like that, you have business growth and profitability every single year. One thing I'd like to talk about today with you is the consumer confidence levels. They're at a 16-month low, Judah. 16-month low for consumer confidence. I want to start with consumer confidence at a 16-month low with inflation and rising interest rates continuing to be the primary headwinds. Anywhere you want to go on these topics?
Well, I think a lot of people aren't watching the news, so they don't care what the pundits say or what the talking heads say, and they're looking at their own wallets, pocketbooks, checkbooks, and seeing that when they're getting hit hard, it doesn't matter if some guy on the TV is trying to appease us and tell us that things aren't as bad as they seem.
Okay, so you're saying it makes no sense to find the positivity. You're saying the positive slivers that I try to highlight with gas prices potentially dropping and or quarantining, lockdown, and China easing is something that, hey, really is not going to have too much of an impact on Virginians or Charlottesvillians. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's fair. I think I was less commenting on those things and just more commenting on consumer confidence. But yeah, there are people that watch the news. There are people that don't care about the news, and they're all being affected. And I think for the most part, they're not listening to some guy on the TV saying it's not as bad as you think.
Well, I mean, eventually we got to figure out when the turning point is. I mean, and we've gone from transient to persistent inflation. We've understood that the rates had to rise. We're fearful that the labor and supply chain shortages will never resolve. But eventually the ship's got to turn. Eventually we got to find a crossroads of turn.
Do we need to wait for that? I mean, shouldn't we? I feel like so much of the issues that we run across are because everybody's just waiting for things to get better.
Well, isn't that how we are as humans, as people?
Yes, but we are also adaptable and adaptive, and we can find ways to make things better so that the next time this happens, we don't get hit as hard. We can find ways to make things better so that if the idiots on the television, on the idiot box, are wrong, then when things take a turn for the worse, if they take a turn for the worse, we're prepared rather than.
All right, so what are the solutions? You say let's make things better. What tangible ways to make things better? Can't just say when we make things better. Tangible ways to make things better. You can make things better by learning about the negative ramifications of stimulus money. You can make things better by saying interest rates were artificially low for too long. They should never stay that low for that period of time. We should never have given families $1,200 payments during the pandemic. You can make things better by saying never in the history of America should we lock down the economy and quarantine people and run ramshod through small and locally owned businesses like we did for 2 years during the pandemic when we shut them the hell down, when we prioritized big box, when we told small mom and pop businesses they couldn't operate. Okay? So maybe that's the history lesson, And the history lesson is don't give away any more free money. Don't keep interest rates at freaking 3 for a 30-year fixed. And stop telling the mom and pop businesses that they can't operate and then say yes to the Target and the Lowe's and the Walmarts and say they could operate. Because all those 3 things led us to this.
Those are all fair.
They all led us to this. And if anyone's irritated or tired on relying on other countries for fuel and to get our vehicles into transportation around the Virginia or the country or the Commonwealth or Central Virginia, whatever, I'm tired of that. I certainly am tired of that. And people quickly say, Jerry, such little percentage of American fuel comes from Russia or Ukraine. Any percentage should not come from Russia or Ukraine.
I think it's larger than people think.
Well, I mean, you hear anywhere from single, 3, 4, 5% to 9, 10, 11, 12%, depending on your source.
Yeah.
And if anyone hasn't learned from this geopolitical nightmare that's Russia, Ukraine, this is what I've learned, is a ton of the commodities we rely upon, fertilizer and wheat, to name a few that immediately come to mind, come from the other side of the world.
Yeah. I think that's a big vulnerability.
Come from the East. That's a huge vulnerability.
A big vulnerability, well, not just in America, but in all the countries who, when things got locked down, realized, oh crap, we can't produce all the stuff that we need for our people.
Kevin Higgins is watching in Greenwood, Virginia. We have dubbed him the King of Greenwood. Kevin, you are one of my favorite viewers and listeners of this fair and fine program. I've noticed of late, and I love when you comment on the show, I've noticed of late your tone has gotten somewhat bearish or Judah-ish, and less bullish or Jerry-ish. Here's Kevin Higgins' most recent comment. The ship is going to sink. It's not going to turn. Anyone that thinks we aren't headed directly into an iceberg is delusional. That's the King of Greenwood right there with a somewhat bearish comment. Kevin Yancey is watching the program in Waynesboro, Virginia. He leaves this comment. Sorry, but this is strictly a money grab by most consumer suppliers. Products other than, say, fresh produce were manufactured long before this situation started. Guys, I am not willing. Bill McKenzie, welcome to the program. I am not willing to bet against Americans. I'm not going to short America.
You're not going to short America?
I'm not going to short America. I'm not going to invest my holdings, my cash position. The most important commodity we have, our time in this company. What do you clock? Somewhere between, given the week, 40 and 50 hours a week, right? Depending on the week, you're between 40 and 50. I say depending on the week, I'm somewhere between 55 and 70. I'm not going to take the 40 to 50 that you're allocating and the 55 to 70 that I'm doing and say that, call it, just for the sake of conversation, 120 hours. I'm not going to take those 120 hours of professional output each week and utilize them in a short or bearish or frightened or invest for the worst. I'm not going to do that.
I'm not sure what you're getting at.
I think there's still ways we can navigate the headwinds in front of us. And I don't think it's necessarily a doom and gloom outlook. I think if anything comes out of this, we'll have a more balanced real estate market. Let's talk some positives that can come out of this, okay? We'll take a real estate market that was freaking insane, where all the leverage was on the side of the sellers, right? Wasn't it for so long during the pandemic? I mean, sellers were neglecting the care of their home. They were asking obscene prices for their houses, and those houses were selling.
Okay.
Now, that's not the case anymore. Now the buyers have a little bit more leverage. They're getting contingencies greenlit and approved and agreed upon. And the buyer has a little bit more leverage.
Yeah,
A positive that's come from this is the real estate market is rebalancing.
Yeah, well,
It's
that's
rebalancing.
fairly natural, I think.
Another positive that's come from this. Okay? You want to hear another positive that's come from this?
Sure.
We are now realizing the absolute need to pay folks a proper wage to live and have quality of life. That got prioritized and spotlighted more than ever before of late. We're not there yet, but we're headed in the right direction. Gas prices are slowly going down. We can navigate the headwinds. And one thing that struck me about the interview yesterday with Jim Duncan and Greg Slater of Nest Realty, the businesses that can survive this, however long the hardship is in front of us, if you can make your way through this hardship, you're going to come out with a lot less competition in your space of business.
It's fair.
COVID and now this recession are exhausting people in spaces of business, and the competition is eroding. Put on the big boy pants, figure out a way to survive, and the competition will be less than ever before. What am I missing? You want to play the opposite side, the yin to my yang, the jelly to my peanut butter.
Well, I don't know that there's necessarily a yin to your yang. You listed a couple things, and I don't know that they fully signify the gravity of say what.
Oh my gosh, get to the point. What are you trying to say here?
Are you serious?
What are you trying to
You're
just get to
seriously
the
saying
point? We're
when I
talking
talk-
about the economy. Just get to the point. Talk about the economy.
Okay, you're right, Jerry. Whatever you say.
Talk about the economy. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and we've got everybody saying that there are signs that we're already in a recession, that things are, not going, and just because you can point to like one or two things that are on a slight uptrend doesn't mean that overall we're on an uptrend.
Well, it's certainly not Kathy Wood. We talked about this before the show started. Kathy Wood's ARC ETF is down over 50% right now. 52% year to date. The Kathy Wood ARC Innovation ETF. Has there been a greater fall from darling to devil in finance than Kathy Wood?
I don't know. I mean, all I've heard
Darling
in the last
to
couple
devil.
of years is that her ETF funds have never done well. I mean, she
Well,
was investing in like space exploration.
You still think things are in the way, things are headed for absolute destruction, don't you?
I don't want them to,
But that's what you think.
I mean, the signs are out there. Look, the Wall Street is so massively over leveraged that they've basically, from what I understand, they've basically put our entire financial system in dire jeopardy. It's basically just a house of cards now, waiting for a puff of wind. I mean, that's just our financial system, but a lot of businesses and a lot of our country are based on the financial system.
We'll see.
I'm not like crying doom and gloom because I want to terrify people. I'm just calling it how I see it.
We'll see. I want you to think about a space of business that is less competition than bridal salons. And the bridal salon is the space it's the type of business that you go to where you try on dresses. There's one that's for sale right now for the asking price is $125,000. It's on West Main Street. Okay? And let's rotate some of our other partners into the branding banner slot right there, Judah. $125,000 asking price. It's on West Main Street. It's a 1,200 square foot bridal salon. The cash flow is $104K. Inventory is $75,000. Furniture, fixtures, and equipment is $10K. Their rent is $3,000 a month. The business is 4 years old, and it's had steady growth since 2018. Total income for 2021 was $300,000. Net income $60K. $125,000 asking price. More details, reach out to me for a bridal salon on West Main Street with an asking price of $125K. We'll highlight this business throughout future editions of the I Love CVille Show. This is something I want to talk about. You're looking at the second largest epicenter or mecca for weddings on the East Coast. Charleston is number one. Charlottesville's number two. The second most weddings on the eastern seaboard happen in the Charlottesville area. Charleston's number one. There's a ton of venues. The competition for wedding venues is significant. The competition for caterers, significant. Officiants, significant. Live music and DJs, significant. Flowers, significant. Caterers, significant. Wedding planners, significant. Bridal salons, where you go and you purchase dresses, an omni-experiential retail experience. There's not much competition in that space.
I mean, the answer to that's pretty simple.
I don't think so.
I do.
What's the simple answer?
Well, look, if you've got all these people coming from out of state or out of out of the area to come have weddings here, I mean, obviously the space is going to be here. You're not going to get flowers shipped from across the country when you can find someone around here that can have fresh flowers ready to go the day of the wedding. Same thing with catering. You're not going to bring someone across the country to do catering. Salons, in terms of hair and stuff, you need
On
to
site,
do it
on site.
the day of or the day before. But a wedding dress, I mean,
You can bring with you. That's what you're saying.
yeah, I'm saying a bride is not going to shop for her and her bridesmaids. They're not going to come to Charlottesville to buy dresses month or months before the wedding.
I thought you were going to go down that road. I really did think you were going to go down that road. And it's a really good road. And it's an accurate analysis of the market. Judah is saying in a nutshell, yes, this is a wedding epicenter, but one of the few components on the wedding supply chain, the dress, is something that a bride and the mother-in-law or the mom, the women in the family, are going to be purchasing prior to arriving in Charlottesville. And that's very realistic.
To arriving.
That's very realistic. How about for the people that live in the Charlottesville area that want to get married in the Charlottesville area? I live in the Charlottesville area. My wife and I got married in the Charlottesville area while living in the Charlottesville area. She went to Northern Virginia with her girlfriends for a dress fitting for her wedding dress because there were not that many options in the Charlottesville area. And it's very common. It is very common. People in the Charlottesville area don't have a lot of options for a salon, for brides, for dresses. And the really interesting thing is, the few times in my life where money was no object, and it was thanks to the generosity of my father-in-law, where money was no object was a wedding. He said, I've been saving for this for so long. I anticipated my only daughter was going to get married in Long Island. They live in Southampton, and they had set aside a sizable chunk of money for their only daughter's wedding. We got married in the South in Virginia. When compared to Long Island, it was more affordable than a Long Island wedding. So he was in an even more generous spirit. And one of the things I learned from the wedding experience is when it comes to your daughter, often a father will say, money is no object. So it surprises me that there is not more competition in the dress fitting and dress buying space of business. There's only 2 salons in this area for buying and selling and fitting dresses. Now, you can buy your dress somewhere else and go get it tailored at a tailor. But there's something about going to a salon, having champagne, your mom, your mother-in-law, your bridesmaids, your maid of honor, and watching the bride come out of the dressing room with various dresses in front of mirrors and their friends, their intimate friends right there. It shocks me that there's not more. It often shocks me, and we talk about this all the time. How the hell are there not more competition in bagels? How is there not more competition in bagels in this town? It shocks me. How's there not more competition, my wife always likes to say, in breakfast sandwiches in this town? What other spaces of business lack competition that you can think of?
There are lots of them. I mean, Charlottesville is deficient in a lot of areas.
Like, for example?
I mean, late night food.
Late night food's a great example.
I saw.
Where would we go to late night food? Waffle House?
That's it.
Besides Waffle House, because College Inn is no more, and Little John's is no more.
IHOP, I think is open 24/7.
Yeah, IHOP's a good suggestion, and Waffle House.
IHOP and Waffle House. That's it, as far as I know.
What are the other late night food options in Charlottesville and Albemarle County? You have Insomnia cookies, but those are cookies.
I don't think there is.
You got the Lucky 7 on Market Street that's open 24/7 and has some.
That's not a food place.
It's got hot dogs on the spinner. It's got hot dogs on the spinner. Sometimes when you're hungry, you need a hot dog from a spinner. The 7-Eleven hot dog serves a purpose.
I'm not saying it doesn't, but that's not a.
You've never eaten a 7-Eleven hot dog?
I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been to a 7-Eleven. I've had a.
Kevin Yancey says
Wawa,
fellas.
Hot dog.
You have a what?
I've had a Speedway hot dog.
Was it good?
It's a hot dog. It's not like I'm asking for gourmet.
The hot dog is one of the most disrespected foods. The encased meat grosses people out. And people often like to highlight that the innards of the hot dog are the disregarded pieces. But dude, a good hot dog is delicious.
Yeah, and it's just protein.
You get that crack and that crunch of the skin.
Yeah, the
little mustard, a little relish, maybe some chili, some cheese.
Oh yeah.
A good ballpark dog is good. Kevin Yancey says nothing but Nathan's for him. And he said, Wawa, fellas, Wawa. Neil Williamson watching the program right now, sending a link about the Ruckersville Wawa. We encourage everyone to check out the Free Enterprise Forum.
I would, as much as people love Wawa, I would still argue that that's not really a part of the conversation if you're talking about places to go eat late at night.
No. I think the Wawa and the 7-Eleven are stretches.
They have some.
They're the desperate answers.
They do have some good food, but
it's desperation.
You can't sit down and
The late night, the truest form of late night in Charlottesville was Little John's. Dude, you know how many times I've gone to the Little John's on the corner after Coops or the Biltmore closed, or Boylan Heights closed, or St. Martin's closed, or Trinity or O'Neill's closed, stumbled or staggered into Little John's with my friends or my girlfriend or my family, whoever it was at the time. This was obviously before the wife. Mm-hmm. And went through the line and got like a wild turkey sub, some of those tasty brownies and a soda at 2:30 in the morning.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. You can't have that anymore. Why is there no late night in Charlottesville? Why do you think there is no late night?
For the same reason there's only two dress places.
You have a university here.
Yeah, but they're not going to go across the city to somewhere. If it's not on the corner, then
216 had a long run as the late night after hours spot. Club 216.
How late were they open?
Club 216 went to like 5 in the morning.
Wow.
It was an after hours club.
It's impressive.
During the week, it was home to the LBGTQ community, and the weekends it turned into like a jack of all trades. after hours party. I mean, it can work. 216 worked what? On Water Street and on Market Street. College Inn MJ Arquette is closed. 977-2710. College Inn on the UVA corner is no more. I mean, I don't know how many meatball subs or Italian subs or cheesecakes I've ordered from 977-2710, the College Inn phone number. That is no more. Ray Cadell, absolutely late night Wawa, especially for traveling musicians, Ray Cadell says. And by the way, unbelievably, their lobster bisque is fabulous at Wawa.
Nice. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Ray knows food. The Italian sub at Wawa, the MTO is pretty good. And the steak and cheese is pretty good. And if the meatballs are fresh, they're not bad. The MTO, the made-to-order sub from Wawa, is the best sub of a gas station.
Yeah, I got one, and it was basically...
I take that back. That's not true. The best sub of a gas station is Bel Air and Tiger Fuel.
That's good.
The Keswick is the best sub of the gas station. My wife would say the Ednam. I would say the Tiger Fuel deli model. And I've said this multiple times on the program. I think the top grossing food and beverage brand in the city of Charlottesville in Albemarle County, city of Charlottesville and Albemarle County, might be the Tiger Fuels, the Tiger Fuel markets. The question is, do they beat Chick-fil-A or Starbucks? Chick-fil-A is not open on Sundays, and Chick-fil-A has Pantops. Chick-fil-A has Pantops, Route 29, and Barracks. There are a lot of Starbucks. There are a lot of Tiger Fuel markets. You got a Tiger Fuel market at Ivy. You got a Tiger Fuel market on Pantops, one on Avon. There are a lot of Tiger Fuels. I'd be curious to see the gross sales of the Tiger Fuels and stack them up against the Chick-fil-A's and Starbucks for the top grossing F&B brand in Charlottesville, Albemarle County. What would you pick?
I'd have a hard time picking a particular one. I'm not...
For the sake of a talk show. For the sake of a talk show.
You're talking about what, late night food?
You're a part of the talk show. Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, or the Tiger Fuel markets for the top grossing F&B brand in Charlottesville,
I guess I'd go with Chick-fil-A. I've seen their lines.
It's hard to go wrong with Chick-fil-A. That one's a machine. And they're not even open on Sundays. Imagine if they were open on Sundays.
Yeah.
Imagine if they were open on Sundays. Oh, Bridal Salon for sale, West Main Street, $125,000 ask. Reach out to me for more information. The Atlantic Coast Conference is eliminating divisional play. So starting in 2023, the Coastal Division and the Atlantic Division will be no more. The ACC Atlantic Coast Conference will just have one division. And the top two teams in that one division will play for the ACC championship. The top two teams will be determined by conference winning percentage. The reason they're doing this is to get more marquee matchup games. Oftentimes in division play, some of the best teams in the regular season were not playing each other. And the Atlantic Coast Conference wants to drive television ratings. So in division play, if they didn't have like a really good UNC team playing a really good Florida State team, or a really good UVA team playing a really good Clemson team, now it's more likely those matchups will happen, which is good for television ratings. They also want their student athletes to have a chance to play every team in the Atlantic Coast Conference over their 4 or 5 years on grounds or at their respective school. So the ACC is doing away with division play. The last divisional year will be this year. Starting next season, divisions are gone. Under the new scheduling plan, the Pitt Panthers have the easiest slate of any team in the conference. Its permanent rivals in the new schedule are Boston College, Syracuse, and Virginia Tech. Georgia Tech, on the other hand, will have the toughest schedule, with Clemson, Louisville, and Wake Forest being the teams it plays every year. This quote we found hilarious. Do you have the quote ready to go?
Yeah.
We go on a two-shot?
Mm-hmm.
What are we calling this? The quote of the week?
Sure.
Let's call it the quote of the week. You read this to me, and I was like, oh, we got to talk about this on the show. Judah, the show is yours. Set the stage first.
All right. This is from based on the Signer making
Mike Signer,
yeah.
former mayor of Charlottesville. This
Yeah.
is about him getting Airbnb, or him making the statement of being he should be the reference point or the source for maintaining safety during dark, gloomy days for cities, like he did for August 12th.
After 31 armed white supremacists were arrested in Idaho earlier this month, former Charlottesville Mayor Mike Signer offered advice for preventing violence during riots, which is, obviously pretty hilarious. And so this
I wouldn't use the word hilarious.
Well, it's hilarious.
It's not hilarious. I don't think anything about A12 was hilarious.
This isn't about A12. It's about Mike Signer being an idiot who's trying to pretend he.
Yeah, he's trying to get the spotlight and try to make it. He's basically trying to change the narrative.
I think he's just trying to
be an egomaniac.
I think he's just trying to remain in the spotlight and continue to be.
Instead of hilarious, is it ironic? Is it sad? Is it?
I suppose it could be sadly ironic in a hilarious way.
Is it utterly ridiculous? I mean, what is the word that should be...
Ridiculous is good too.
Viewers and listeners, what is the word we utilize or we use when Mike Signer, the former mayor of Charlottesville, is getting quoted in media outlets as being the North Star, the guiding light for how cities should handle crisis? What is the word we should utilize in describing that? Absurd, ridiculous, moronic, ironic. We've utilized hilarious. What else comes to mind? You're a walking thesaurus over there, Judah. Neil Williamson, you're a walking thesaurus.
Those are all good terms.
What?
Those are all good terms.
No, what else? I mean, come on. What? I don't even think we've nailed the right word yet. What is the right word, viewers and listeners? Pathetic? Pathetic is applicable, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Misrepresentation?
No,
Kevin Yancey says laughable.
Yep.
Neil Williamson says misguided. I think those all work.
Yeah, they all work.
So here's the quote of the week. Judah, the show is yours.
Yeah, this is from activist Emily Gorchensky, and she says about Mike Signer, he was uniquely unqualified to lead Charlottesville, and he is astonishingly unqualified to proffer any opinion on how to combat neo-Nazi threats.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair assessment.
I think that was pretty damn good. Jason Howard says incredulous is how he would describe it. Travis Hackworth in Danville, Virginia says Como-esque. Former governor of New York. Como-esque. That was good, Travis. Travis, you've been a very good contributor to this talk show. The mayor of Danville, Travis Hackworth. Here's where I want to springboard from this. Viewers and listeners, who was more of a lightning rod? Or who calls more political divisiveness? You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Signer or Nakia Walker? And I want you to think about it for a little bit before you give the answer. Because the easy, immediate answer is Nakia Walker, right?
That's definitely the easy answer for me, because I know a lot less about Mike Signer.
What immediately comes to mind is Nakia Walker. Michael Signer was using burner email accounts to contact the Daily Press or the Daily Progress.
And leak stuff?
And leak stuff about his fellow counselors. Michael Signer was trying to walk into the Virginia State Police, Charlottesville Police Department headquarters during August 12th, announce himself as the mayor of Charlottesville, and demand he knows what's going on with the plan to combat Nazis bombarding our town. Remember, it's a weak mayor form of government. The mayor is a
figurehead.
A figurehead. The mayor is a token. Is a spokesperson. It's the city manager who runs the city. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine being in the satellite headquarters, Virginia State Police, Charlottesville Police Department, National Guard, strategizing, X's and O's, creating your little sections of Charlottesville, trying to play this game called life? Crack, door swings open. In walks in. Button-down blue Oxford shirt, some khaki pants, some scuffed up loafers, his sleeves rolled up around his elbows. Man slams his hand on the nearest desk. I'm Mike Signer. I'm the mayor of Charlottesville. I demand to know what's going on here with how you're stopping the Nazis from invading our city. What would you have done? You would have just looked at him. You would have been like, A, who are you? B, you don't even run the city manager does. C, you're using this to climb the political totem pole. D, we know whatever we tell you right now, you're going to tell the reporters of CNN on national television. E, you're a lawyer. F, you're a lawyer for an app development company at the time. A, B, C, D, E, F. G,
don't make me tase you.
G, you took your app development company out of the city to Albemarle County while you were the in-house counsel and the mayor of Charlottesville at the same time. Who is a more political lightning rod, Micaiah Walker or Michael Signer? That's a legitimate question for you. Back to back, those two. Think about that.
Yeah.
Back to back. 2 terms of Walker. Maybe, okay, so that's probably my answer. Signer didn't get 2 terms. Mm-hmm. The mayor's only 2 years.
Yeah.
Walker got 2 terms, back to back 2 years. Her 4 years on council, she was mayor the first whole 4.
She had more time to cement herself as...
There's my reason, and I'm backing it up with a legitimate factual reason of why she was the bigger lightning rod. He had 2 years as mayor. She had 4 spot.
Yeah.
What did you learn this week, Judah?
Well, let's see. I learned that sadly, where is it? I learned that there's a food free meals program is expiring soon, sadly, and this is going to impact a lot of Virginia families. So, you know, we've had the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank on various of our shows, and if you've ever been inclined to support them, I think now is a great time. They're going to be needed more than ever.
Because you're saying more people are going to go to the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank.
Yep.
Travis Hackworth says, here's what Travis learned today. The Chicago mayor still looks like Beetlejuice. I don't know what the Chicago mayor looks like. Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Mayor of Chicago. I'm Googling right now.
That's hilarious.
Chicago 2022. I'm Googling right now. Mayor of Chicago 2022.
Do you want me to
No, I'm
pull
Googling.
up a picture to show the...
Oh, that's not nice, Travis. That is not nice, Travis.
It's also not wrong.
That is not nice, Travis. That is not nice. I did not know what the mayor of Charlottesville looks like. The mayor of Chicago, look like. I do not agree that she looks like Beetlejuice. I do not agree with that.
Well, then you're probably looking at the wrong picture.
I am looking at the right picture. I am looking at the right picture. That is not nice, Travis. Not nice. Not nice. Not nice.
I had to Google it too. And
I didn't know what the mayor of Chicago looked like. You did?
Yeah. I've seen her.
I already spilled the beans on what I learned today. The Cathie Wood ARC ETF is down a whopping 52% year to date, and it's fallen 66% from its 52-week high. Good Lord.
I learned that the Jefferson Madison Regional Library could lose nearly $400,000 in funding if they decide to change their name.
Kevin Higgins says, when either Michael Signer or Nakia Walker talk, I feel it's difficult to breathe. My body reacts to what they say and wants to shut down. My organs are defensive to their insanity.
Wow.
Wow. Kevin Higgins. MJ Arquette says, laughable for Michael Signer offering perspective on
Definitely.
on Michael Signer's perspective on combating chaos in a jurisdiction, as he's recently done. He's now working for Airbnb and no longer for Willow Tree Apps.
Yeah.
So he was in-house counsel for Willow Tree Apps while he was mayor of Charlottesville. When he was mayor of Charlottesville and in-house counsel at Willow Tree Apps was headquartered in the city of Charlottesville in the downtown mall. While he was mayor of Charlottesville and in-house counsel for Willow Tree Apps goes from the city of Charlottesville to Albemarle County, taking the tax dollars with it.
You would think that city mayor would look for ways to make...
Keep it in the city.
Well, not just ways to keep it in the city, but ways to make it attractive to keep businesses in the city.
Willow Tree was such a great base of business for the restaurants during lunchtime, coffee breaks, happy hour, and dinner time on the downtown mall. We would routinely see their hooded army of employees all over the downtown mall. Remember?
Yeah, you'd see 4 or 5 walking together.
Always walking together.
Heading somewhere to get
hundreds
some
of
food,
employees.
Heading back with a to-go box and a to-go drink.
Yeah. No longer there. No longer there. That's the show. It's the Tuesday edition of the show. I'm going to close with this. I will, and why I think he and I make a good little combo. He's a bit bearish. I'm a bit bullish. I will always bring that outlook to the show. You're looking for a little sliver of positivity. Your fuel is going down, and China's opening back up again. Little positive, little sliver of positivity right there. I'm always going to look for those slivers. It'll be part of the foundation of what I do on the show. For Judah, I'm Jerry, and it's the I Love CVille Show presented by Skooma. Thank you for joining us on a Tuesday. We're back tomorrow, Wednesday, with Real Talk with Keith Smith at 10:15 a.m. So long, everybody.